What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Notes from the Editors. I am Eric from Nine Panel Grid, and I'm joined, as always, with Stu from Dr. Doom's Fan Club. And it's only appropriate, considering the crossover event that happens twice a week now between our channels, that we talk about crossovers tonight and their impact on the medium. But before we do so, Stu, man, how is this wonderful Tuesday treating you?
I'm doing well, man. Coming off a Bears win. Let's
go. All right. For those of you,
defense showed up. Offense showed up.
For those of you who don't know, it is a struggle trying to get just a pinch of positivity about our beloved Chicago Bears out of this guy, even after a win. So I am taking this and running with it. Yes, that made my Sunday. That made my Monday. Let's freaking go, dude.
I needed that one. We always play well against Dallas. I don't know what it is. I feel like we always show up when we play Dallas. So that was good, man. Yeah, that made my Sunday. I got the fantasy win. I'm 3-0 in fantasy. So yeah, man, looking good through 3 weeks. But you never know. It's a tenuous hold on number one. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, I'm doing well. Excited to catch that Alien Earth finale tonight.
Yes.
I can't wait. Yeah, dude, I know you're excited to catch it as well. So just been such an incredible show. But yeah, happy to be here with you, bro.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you had a good Tuesday, man, because I got to tell you, like, my house, we're coming off of an illness. Like, school just started, so my kid is already bringing things home, and like, this household has the immune system of a leper colony. So like, as soon as one person gets something, everybody gets it. I'm starting to feel maybe a little bit of inklings of something, maybe not. My kid's just getting over it. So I think we're gonna survive. I don't think that anyone has to, start looking at, rewriting wills or anything yet.
But I think when you have kids that you always experience that first round of sickness, like when the weather starts to change, man. No, it undoubtedly makes its way through my household as well. So
yeah, exactly. Without a shadow of a doubt, it just always seems to happen. But it kind of sucks that it's happening right now. You talk about weather changing. We're in a heat wave over here, dude. It's supposed to hit like 90 tomorrow.
It's been warm and cold here, so it's been all over the place. We've gotten what they've called the false fall. So like it got nice and cool and kind of tricked us there for a minute, but then it warmed back up. But yeah, I don't know. We got a pumpkin patch growing out front for the first time. So when we moved in, there was the people before had left a pumpkin. The boys broke it open. One of them planted a seed in the front yard. Before we know it, dude, and a pumpkin plant is no joke. This thing like took over, grows at an exponential rate of speed. It's incredible, but it's been really cool to, dude. At this point, we have like seven pumpkins harvested, 7 more on the vine, something like that. So it's been pretty incredible to watch. It's been really fun for the kids to experience. So yeah, that's been like a fall highlight so far.
Heck yeah, dude. And right now is the perfect time, dude. Like, think about it. You could feasibly let's talk about you making some money off of this to like budget your comic expenditure.
Selling squash
Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm down. Dude, we got it's pretty incredible how many this thing is produced on, off of one giant vine that's almost overtaken half the front yard. But yeah, it's been dope to see. So
you got that puppy on some performance enhancing drugs or something, man.
That thing has gone, dude. I'm talking about it was like Jack and the Beanstalk. I don't know. It was really weird because that pumpkin we were assuming from the fall before, and it wasn't rotten or anything, so it gave us this magical seed. That it's been wild.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and let's see who's hanging with us in the chat here. We got a couple people that's jumped in here, starting with Bob. Bob's throwing out a lot of crossovers out here. Good to see you, Bob.
Yeah.
We got Killer Croc and Lizard, Solomon Grundy and the Morlocks,
I love
Martian Ant-Man Hunter, Punisher and Casey Jones. Punisher and Casey Jones is legit. I would pick up that book without a shadow of a doubt.
The Solomon Grundy versus the Morlocks, though? That's fire.
I feel like Solomon Grundy would kind of lay away. It would be another mutant massacre that we have on our hands. So
absolutely.
We got Phelps hanging with us, man. James.
What up, James? Hell yeah, bro.
We got Simpleton here sitting out of the new Marvel and DC crossover. We're definitely talking into that. That was
Yes.
definitely the catalyst for us thinking about
Yep.
should we talk about these kind of things here, because Deadpool Batman, it was a book and we're going to get into it. Simpleton also saying, yeah, nose won't stop running. Yeah, we all fool ourselves. It's allergies. It's just the allergies. 'Tis the season. Yeah, no. Allergies. Get out of here. Mojo and Harley Quinn might be a legit book.
That's
Dude,
that shit crazy. I'm here for it.
Bob's got all the ideas, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Bob on the editorial board, man.
Yeah, for real, no joke, Bob. Yeah, like maybe send your resume on over to Marvel. I feel like they need a little injection of good ideas here, man. And you've thrown out plenty in the chat just tonight. Let's go ahead and talk about the nature of crossovers, though, because what I wanted to do is really kind of break down the level of effectiveness that they have on the comic book industry and the comic book appreciators, collectors, and just, the medium itself. Because I feel like there's a lot of different ways that we can peel this onion and get down to the deepest layers of how effective these things really are for us, right? And the earliest crossover that I was able to find here between publishing companies, right, and primarily thinking Marvel and DC, but we have some more goodies to talk about too. Superman and Amazing Spider-Man Battle of the Century in 1976, where this is, from what I can fathom, the first time that the flagship characters crossed over to take on Lex Luthor and Dr. Octopus. Now,
wow.
I wasn't alive at that time. I wasn't, it wasn't even a thought in my parents' freaking mind. It makes me wonder, though, being the very first time that something like this comes out, like how big of an idea, how big and bold an event that must have been to see these two cross over, and how impactful it must have been, because comics were a little bit leaner back then. It was a different beast altogether. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's crazy that's the first time it really happened. I think I would have thought it would have been before that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't definitely the two flagship characters joining together. What was that story about? Do you know?
I mean, it was the 70s. It was simplistic kind of stories. I didn't read it myself again before.
Did they have who were did you know the creators on that one? Did they have like the powerhouses or like the guys?
Yeah.
Was it like Ramita, like for drawing Spidey type of deal? You know what I mean?
Let's find out. I don't have it right in front of me.
I wonder who did Superman.
So it was written by Jerry Conway with artwork by Neil Adams and John Romita Sr., who is actually uncredited, but he did a lot of the Marvel face work, considering his style at the time was kind of the house style.
That's awesome. Neil and Romita. Wow.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, and when you look at it, those were the names of the time, right? That was like, those were powerhouse superstar creators doing the work and really kind of putting out something that, again, was unheard of. It was something that was completely different than anything that we would have gotten from that time period. Now, when we look forward in time, I feel like there's a couple different things that maybe play a little bit of a part in more crossovers happening. And I think that a lot of this had to do with the television of the time. So moving forward, again, that came out in 1976. We have a couple more crossovers that start kicking off as time goes on. The one that comes to mind first and foremost for me is Uncanny X-Men and Teen Titans, which, again, like that was right on the heels of the Dark Phoenix saga ending, which was already heralded as one of the best, most mature for its time storylines that came out in comic books. So to take those two and mash them together was really, again, something that, I don't know. Again, we're talking, it took a couple years for it to happen. It finally kind of had a nice storyline where they can play with those kind of ideas and really have something that was going to be worthwhile for the two teams to work together and, to try to take down a force such as the Dark Phoenix, because that's a lot of what we end up getting with most of these crossovers is going to be that it's a little bit formulaic, right? Would that be fair to say, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's, I think there's a lot of the times there's some interesting things done, but overall, just the story isn't. The story feels dry or not like there's not enough energy put into it. You know what I mean? So,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just to speak on that one, man, that's one of my favorites. I think that's one of the better ones. Claremont, Simonson doing the art, Dark Side wielding the Phoenix Force is such a cool idea. And yeah, that one works on all levels. And it's like, it's not. I don't think it's entirely lost on us now, but like we kind of forget where, or at least how important the Teen Titans, how important of a book that used to be. That used to be
Oh yeah.
immensely popular, and one of their top sellers. So for those two titles at the time, I feel like it was a big deal. But yeah, man, that's one that I think you'll see on pretty much any top comic book crossover list. That's one of the standard bearers as it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's so much so that as time went on and the universes started to mature and become more developed and kind of engrossing, I mean, it really necessitated them making out of the multiverse or the infinite Earths, depending on which kind of universe you're talking about. It necessitated like separate universes being created to say the storylines happened over here as opposed to like in the two proper universes. So it's kind of a cool thing that they were able to do that. And I'm glad that you brought that up about Teen Titans too, because Uncanny X-Men at that time was the top selling Marvel book. I mean, like it was like nobody could go toe to toe with that. In fact, it took a couple of years, I think. Well, maybe no, maybe a couple years because Frank Miller takes over Daredevil at that time, and then they start going really toe to toe with one another, trying to like battle it out for the top selling book month over month. But at this time, right off of Dark Phoenix, like it's 100% Uncanny all the time. But Teen Titans, yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about the late 70s, early 80s. Like these were written for definitely a more young audience, and Teen Titans like hit the stage in a big bad way because it spoke to more of the people that were actually reading the books, and it made them infinitely more relatable than characters like Batman and Superman, who were established adults.
Yeah, well said.
But what I was going to get to was something actually I just read, or I shouldn't say read, but I listened to recently. So Comic Tropes, they have their side channel, right? And Chris from Comic Tropes and Jim of Food have their trash movie bonanza that they do, right? And I was listening to one of the episodes that they did just recently on the Spider-Man pilot, which was kind of a movie, kind of like just an elongated TV episode to get a Spider-Man TV show off the ground and running. And what I found out through that was that there were basically TV studios that were kind of like vying to have a lot of different properties, to go along with like their power hours or whatever, right? So you had the likes of, the Hulk out there that was a big bad player in that realm. And you also had characters like Wonder Woman that had their TV shows as well. And like, they were none the wiser at that time, and universes really didn't matter. So like the thought of having like Wonder Woman come right on the heels of Incredible Hulk didn't matter. Like they kind of thought that was a good idea, like superheroes, whatever, just throw them out there. The kids will love it, right? And I feel like that must have been the impetus for a lot of these storylines getting greenlit and being pushed forward, because in a short period of time right after that, we get Superman teaming up with Spider-Man again. We get Batman teaming up with the Incredible Hulk. We get, let's see here. Yeah, we get a lot of these like really silly kind of crossover events that happen that don't really make a whole lot of sense, but feel very much in tune with something that would be devised to, I don't know, maybe push some kind of, I don't know, synergy, so some synergistic stuff to happen with a TV producing company, something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, I think it's just, throwing your heavy hitters together and see what happens. Sometimes you have successes, sometimes you don't. But that Batman Hulk one's not too shabby.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about maybe how shabby or not shabby it is, because it's written by Len Wein, and I gotta say, like the premise of this book feels very interesting to me. So the Dark Knight and the Jade Giant face off against one another, in a story that involves the Joker and the Shaper of Worlds. That solicit does nothing for me. That does zero for me.
Yeah, they needed to do way better with the solicit for sure.
Yeah, that seems like especially for a writer like Len Wein to take on that property and do something like that, it feels a little bit screwball and left field to me. Like these early incarnations of this stuff, I feel like this is where we start to see the delusion.
Yeah, and Lynn was pinning a lot of these, wasn't he? Wasn't he the writer on I think a fair amount of these, if I'm not mistaken? Like I feel like he had a pretty heavy hand when it came to these.
Well, I know he had a hand in editorial as time went on, right? He did the same thing at Marvel. I think he did some time there at DC as well. So it would make sense, especially having familiarity with both companies, that he would try to at least greenlight things and maybe, if not have full control, have his hands in the pot to kind of make all these things happen.
Yeah. I like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Isn't he on the artwork on that one? Batman Hulk?
Let me see here. Is he written?
So.
No.
Yeah. Dude, and I love him, man. Just from back in the day, Untold Legend, and just the style guide guy. Like he's got such a classic look for Batman. And when I think about the Batman growing up, that blue and gray Batman that I loved growing up, it's Jose's version.
That Neil Adams style Batman. Yeah,
exactly. It's Jose's kind of like incarnation of that I see. But yeah,
you're right. It totally is. By the way, too. Yeah, interesting enough. Yeah, too. Inks by Dick Giordano.
Yeah,
that's wild, man. That's interesting. That's
so like that's yeah, that's just like that's like Batman kind of, like you said, like the TV properties, Batman's kind of running off the fumes of Batman 66, and then you got the Lou Ferrigno's Hulk at the peak of its popularity then, or close to it.
Yeah.
At least definitely in the cultural zeitgeist a lot more. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. It is interesting too that they basically introduced this character, the Shaper of Worlds, to basically have a stand-in for all of the Marvel heavies that that the Hulk could take on. So he takes the shape of the Abomination, the Leader, the Rhino, Scarecrow from the DC universe, and Two-Face. Like a little bit silly. A little bit silly. I feel like this is where they started like being playful with the ideas that they're playing with. But again, like even that one, let me see here. What was 1981, 1982 for the Uncanny X-Men Teen Titans? All before my time. Like none of this stuff actually hit the stands here. I had to go back in time to read not all of them, but a couple of these.
For sure. This is all like way in hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We take a big break. We take like a huge decade-long break, basically, before the thought even starts to ruminate over anyone doing anything with these properties. And I think that had a lot to do with the editorial teams that were in place at that time between Jim Shooter and Dick Giordano. I feel like there was a lot of competitiveness, maybe, right, between those two companies, like really towing who's going to be the best, especially knowing that they had just like the big kerfuffle of Jack Kirby leaving Marvel and the big to do about him going to DC. So I feel like there was a lot of competitiveness with that, but with everything that happened, that kind of like builds up about the comic book boom that's kind of looming and starts building into the 90s. Marvel and DC finally try to put aside their differences and start working towards kind of the crossover to end all crossovers, which is Marvel versus DC. Now, we were both alive, and I would wager a bet. We haven't talked about this, so this is like a real true conversation that we're about to have here. So, Stu, did you read Marvel versus DC or DC versus Marvel when it was like on the stands, when it was hitting the racks, fresh faced, just ready to rock and roll?
No, I want to say I was out of the game by then, or I was almost like I was 1 foot out or something like that. But no,
really,
I didn't read this one, man. This one was I missed this one.
Okay. So you did circle back around to witness the silliness that was?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So tell me. So I was reading it on the stands then. I was one of those readers that was still in the game picking these up, scratching my head a little bit, but we'll talk about that. When did you actually circle back around to experience Marvel and DC duking it out?
Oh, man, it was sometime in the early COVID time, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it's been like forever.
Okay. All right. So knowing, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So knowing that then, considering the stylistic choices of the 90s, what the heck was your experience with it, man?
I mean, I didn't enjoy it very much. It didn't
Okay.
it didn't do a whole lot for me, honestly. I mean, what was your experience reading it off the shelf?
Ah, in the moment, I mean, it was pure hype. I mean, it was like buzzing, like knowing that this stuff was going to happen. But that was all the buildup. That was all of the Wizard magazine of it all, right? Like the idea of what these things could be. And I feel like we still experience that even today with big two books. Like I feel like expectations and like the story that we tell ourselves in the head about what this could be, it's a problem that we all still suffer with, right? Or,
Yeah,
something that we all deal with. It was at a fever pitch in the 90s though, man. Like, I mean, the idea of these characters duking it out, it was the schoolyard conversation that you would have time and time again. Like, nah, Spider-Man would totally beat the crap out of him. Like, like Batman doesn't stand a chance. He can't do anything against the webbing. Whatever, dude. The Batarang could go through the web. It was that conversation put on the page, and the
right.
idea of that, and having, I think honestly, I think it was the idea of having a definitive answer to those questions so that you could be right when, Tommy, the idiot from down the street, was on the playground. You could be like, see, I freaking told you. The idea of having that like meant the world to people of that age. Like I feel like it was the right time and it was the right place for it to happen, and they had all the right reasons for it to happen. The execution though was a little bit interesting. It was a little bit interesting. And what I mean by that is you could tell that a lot of these things, well, all right, so let's play the comparison game. You read Daredevil Batman, right?
The JG Chichester or Chichester one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Daredevil? I'm sorry. Deadpool Batman. No, the book that just came out.
Oh,
My bad.
unfortunately, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Unfortunately, yeah. That that experience was very much the same thing that we got, if not more so watered down from what we experienced back in the 90s. You could tell that there were decisions that were made not based on the creative decisions of the people that were making the book or writing the story, drawing it, whatever the case may be. These were probably legal decisions that were being made from the attorney teams between these two. Like, okay, well, if Logan's going to win here, you have to understand that that means that, this person over here is going to win and that person over here is going to win. Like Nightwing needs a W over here, but we'll toss you, Electro over here, something like that. And that's what it all ended up feeling like. And especially, it's kind of funny. One of the things that comes out of that, and one of the things that got people really hyped, was the idea of Wolverine fighting Lobo. And like, you say that even to me right now, and I'm like, yeah, I want that. Like, give that to me, because that sounds like that could be like a really, really silly story, but a really fun story nonetheless. And did you read that story? Like, I know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, how cheated was it that they dive behind a bar? You see like thunk, thwack, snicked, and then Logan walks out and lights a cigar. I think that was the most betrayed I had ever
Yeah.
felt up to that point in my very young life, knowing that we could have had something epic and we got so freaking cheated by the idea of that crossover event. It just, again, it's one of those things where it ends up then feeling like a cash grab more than a creative endeavor to really tell bold stories
Yeah.
that
Well,
could.
I just don't understand why you can't just make it a slugfest right there and let them duke it out and have it be like some, what is is Lobo really that precious? Like, I just don't get it. Like,
Especially at that time, I feel like Lobo was kind of like a second or third rate character. I feel like when
yeah,
his time to shine with Bisley had really kind of like petered out, and he wasn't, he never was really a household name, but he was lesser so at that point where where they pushed this crossover event out. Kind of interesting.
yeah,
It was definitely an interesting look at how they could go about some of these things here. And and it's kind of similar in a way to the death of Robin as well, because a lot of these things were supposedly fan votes, like, send in your vote, tell us who you want to win, and that'll determine, the outcome of this fight. I don't know. I don't know how much of that was actually true. I don't know how many people were actually submitting votes on this, or if they were, if it was actually impacting the outcome of the books. Maybe more research needs to be done on that part, but it feels a little bit shady, especially knowing how some of these fights ended up working
yeah,
themselves out.
definitely.
It was a little bit weird.
No,
Yeah,
I was out of the game, man. I was like 14, 15. I was on kind of like on my way out. I was losing touch with it.
really? Okay, so
Yeah,
was the lapse that big then? Was COVID the thing that brought you back since that point?
yeah, more or less. I mean, there
Holy
was like
cow.
a couple spots here and there, but yeah.
Okay, that's interesting, man. Like did you dabble at all? I'm just kind of curious now. Like I'm I'm pivoting over to this for thing. I want
Not
to
really. I
interview you
mean,
and know what's going on here.
here and there, but not really. Like, I read a book here and there, but nothing like, I wasn't going back to the shop or anything like that.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a period of time to be able to skip over the majority of work, I think maybe you chose the right time. I can say that much.
Not not really, man. I really loved like all the things Marvel did in the 2000s and 2010s.
The
I
2000s
thought,
and 2010s were good, but like the when you jumped out, I feel like it
oh
was the
yeah,
right point to jump
yes.
out.
Age of Apocalypse was the last thing I remember fully partaking in and enjoying. And then after that, there was not much, man. Yeah. So yeah, I kept everything though from that period of time in my life, and I've always had it back. But yeah, just like COVID, looking for something to start reading again, just kind of sent me back down that path.
Okay, well, we're happy to have you back then,
Here we
man.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
happy to be back.
All right, we had a couple more people join us here. Let me stop neglecting them here. We got starting off with Derek Neiman. Derek, always great to see you, man. Thank you
Derek,
for
what
the
up?
reminder there for everyone.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you.
We got Cheeky Devil hanging with us here. Ooh, I don't think you've been able to catch a live here in
Oh,
the
Cheeky,
last
what
little
up?
bit here, man. Yeah, nice seeing you. We got Bob saying, I'd like to see editors finding ways to create interesting writer-artist combinations. Dennis Camp and Dan Panosian on a limited Lopo series, Ram V and Jim Mafood on a book like The Fantastic Four. I think that's yes. I mean, I think that's where things really kind of fall apart is that they get too safe and they get too,
Mhm.
I don't know, too clean with the things that are being pushed forward. There is a bit of a course correction that happens, but yeah, I think that they need to take big, bold risks there. I think that the Dennis Camp and Dan Panosian one would be good. Is there any creator combo that you would want to take over a crossover? So like writer, artist, and then
Oh
two properties?
man, let me think on that one. I
Okay.
will answer it. I will answer it, but let me think on that one.
All right. We also got Bob saying, I think in the 70s, more books were bought off the spinner rack with no FOC. Yeah, amen to that. That's so true, man. Like we are we don't know how good we have it right now, but there was a time and place where you would go to a comic shop if you were lucky enough, and what you had on the stands was what you got, and like you were none the wiser as to what's coming out 2
Yeah, I
weeks
feel
later.
like that Superman Muhammad Ali book would have been one of those like that. You know what I mean? That would have
Oh yeah,
really grab your attention as a kid.
yeah. And it's kind of weird how I feel like those kind of things. Like I don't know if that would work in today's landscape. I really don't. And maybe I'm a little bit too jaded, and I'll admit to that if that's the case. But like I just don't feel like that would put eyeballs on a book, and I'm not sure what would.
I think a wrestling crossover would work.
I want to say that would work. I do, but didn't they have wrestling books that like kind of?
I don't know. Did they? I feel like the right wrestling book would work, man, for sure.
It could be. There's so many opportunities there, especially when you have people like Dave Bautista playing Drax and John Cena playing Peacemaker. Like it's right there. It is so easy to make those things happen. Like
you could have like different artists do different creative teams do different matches. I mean, it would be super dope.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I got to ask you this now because my curiosity it remains piqued. So you read Marvel versus DC. We come out of Marvel versus DC directly into this new universe, the amalgam universe, where these characters are now smashed together into their own entities, their own things that have been sometimes like the perfect combos, sometimes the most questionable combos. Now, I know you must not have read that on the stands because that wouldn't make any sense. But did you circle back around and also read some of these amalgam titles?
Come on now, baby.
There we go.
Come
there
on
we
now.
go.
Talk to me.
I'm glad that you picked the silly example.
I love the amalgam. Yeah. Dark Claw. What could be better than Wolverine and Batman, right? Yeah, I loved amalgam in theory, but this one didn't. This one didn't land. Yeah, Larry Hama writing this one too, but it just didn't. But it does have some great artwork by Jim Ballard. He did a good job in this one. But
yeah, that was the Catwoman artist of the time.
Yeah, it just I don't know, man. Like the one I did, there's one I did read, Bruce Wayne, Agent of Shield. I enjoyed that one. But I don't know. I haven't read a ton of them. I know it just got a reprint. I really should have grabbed that Omni or that reprint they did because it's gonna be like never again that they're probably gonna reprint that. So but yeah, how about you? Did you have a favorite mashup character?
Yeah, and I have some wacky, wild ones, man. Like the best thing that I feel like came out of that was some exposure to new or different artists for me. Like one of them was Magneto and the Metal Men, right? Which obviously is a very clear mashup, right? There's no cheeky names or anything like that. But they had Magneto and the Metal Men, which was a really cool looking book. The book itself was a little bit silly as far as the nature of the writing itself. X Patrol was badass. I feel like it was like one of the first times that I ever saw Jeff Matsuda's artwork. If you know him, like he did a there was some cartoon spinoff that he did, but like I knew him after the Amalgam Universe for doing like a short stint on Wolverine that Eric Larson was writing for. But Jeff Matsuda's artwork, which was very anime influenced, it was like taking Joe Mad's artwork and kind of like cranking up the anime to like the next level, right? So it was way more stylized. My first exposure to his artwork was right there. We had things like Challengers of the Fantastic, which was like Fantastic Four and Challengers of the Unknown matched up together, which is the perfect pairing considering that Challengers of the Unknown was really the precursor to a Fantastic Four ever happening. They came even before Marvel's first family. So I feel like there was a lot of opportunities that they took advantage of that really made a lot of sense. Some were Batman and Wolverine getting mashed together, which didn't work for me. I'll tell you what, though. One thing absolutely did work for me in that book, which was the combination of Sabretooth and the Joker, which on paper doesn't work. But then you call him the hyena. And then you're like, oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, how could you not love that?
There's so many different things. Like that Batman Hulk book. Like, I just like that Bruce Banner was a scientist at Wayne Enterprises. Like, I don't know, like little things like that. Like, I like how Daredevil Batman had, I know kind of going off topic here, but that one was good. And because I remember Two-Face, Harvey Dent was the like bad guy or one of the antagonists in that, and like he had this history with Matt Murdock in the courtroom type of deal. Like I remember them playing on that, and like those two just felt like a great fit, you know, Batman and Daredevil, and that one was dope. That's one I'd like to see explored again. I think that one's got legs all day.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, you take these two characters that were trained by ninjas, right? Like, I mean, they have this
Yes.
upbringing, they're street level. And I mean, you take Batman, you take the scope of Batman out where he's free falling from the moon and stuff like that. Like, you take that out of the equation, he should be a street level character.
Yeah.
You know, they have that working for them. On top of that, the creative team also kind of like doubles up as well, because you had Scott McDaniel drawing Daredevil before he moves over and starts drawing Nightwing and then Batman as well. So you already had an artist that was familiar with both properties and really kind of drew iconic versions of those characters together as well. So that's one of my favorites. But like, come on, I'm a Daredevil fan, so like it was always going to be one of my favorites regardless. That could have been like the worst comic in the world, I'd be like, it's all right, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that was dope. I don't know, man, but Amalgam, it just like I think it's just a great idea. It just sucks that it didn't have more connections, I guess, as it is.
Well, but I think that's what we build up to. So I think, you know, I think there's enough time, right? We've given the book a week. Like, we can spoil a little bit out of some of the things that happened out of Deadpool Batman, because we get some of these fun team ups and we get some of the stories. But I think that if you're looking for something to be excited about from that issue, it's not even about the flagship things that happen. It's not about Deadpool and Batman. I think it's the end of the issue where we kind of get a return to the Amalgam universe, where we get to see a new mashed up character, which is the same one that I was so butthurt over in the past. Lobo and Logan together. Stupid name of logo. But when you got Ryan Otley drawing it, I'm sorry, not Ryan Otley, Ryan Stegman drawing it. Yeah, like it might actually be worthwhile. And he makes mention of Super Soldier, the amalgamation of Superman and Captain America as well. Makes me think, well, it makes me think two things, right? It makes me kind of excited in the way that a 12-year-old Eric would be excited over the initial launch of all this stuff. But the second thing that makes me think of is, oh man, is the Big Two hurting right now? Is the Big Two hurting more than I ever really thought right now? Because if they're really pitching these ideas and they're really kind of like saying, hey, well, maybe we'll do this. It's not because they don't need money. I don't know.
I mean, I think they're both doing okay because they're under the wing of these larger conglomerates. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think like, you know, the publishing arm that they represent is kind of tolerated in both these situations with both of them and their you know, as part of like, you know, that bigger company. You know, does it feel like that to you? It feels like there's a lot more freedom with Marie Javins and what she's the house that she's allowed to run at DC versus Marvel. I feel like Marvel, you got a lot more hands in the cookie jar. But yeah, I think to a large extent, if it didn't supplement the entertainment side of things, I think it might be a different story. You know what I mean?
Well, and I'll tell a story here, but I want to get your reaction and maybe your thoughts on this. But I remember listening to interviews with Joe Quesada, especially as his time when he was the editor-in-chief, and maybe even just a little bit before that. But he talks a lot about how he felt like in his tenure and in his time with Marvel, you know, and it was before EIC. It was when he was kind of like, when he kind of saved Marvel, right? When he created Marvel Knights and kind of pushed that into the greater Marvel universe to reinvigorate the entire universe. But he talked about the fact that when he was a kid and he was on the playground, you had a camp, and it was, you were a Marvel kid or you were a DC kid. right? You didn't cross the line. You made a choice. And he said that one of his defining things and one of the things that he wanted to or kind of push forward was to bring back that idea, not in a serious way, mostly in a playful way. But he said, like, if I remember like the verbiage that he used. He said, like, if you're not passionate about this, then like we don't have any time for you. Like, it's good to be passionate about things, right? You need to be passionate about things. Be a Marvel fan, be a DC fan, make a choice. But we're here to, to make it very difficult for you to make that choice because we want you to be a Marvel fan, like first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea. And when we get these things, when we get these crossover events, it makes me feel like maybe the industry is too diluted. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess, and what are your thoughts on that opinion, right? Do you side with Joe on that, or do you think that maybe there's more to the story?
No, I think if anybody needs a handout right now, it's Marvel. I mean,
Oh man, okay, you're putting it on Front Street.
On the comic book side of things, I think, they're struggling to connect with their fans and really take the right steps that DC isn't. But traditionally growing up, man, I was a Marvel kid. I think they catered to the youth in ways that DC just wasn't doing back in the day in the 90s, at least in my childhood growing up. And I don't remember anybody really being, I mean, everybody loved Batman, but I think the majority of the kids around me were all reading Marvel books. I don't even remember DC being a hardcore camp like that. And I think that's changed some, here and there, but like now I think so many kids, their reference point for Marvel is the cinematic universe. You know what I mean? That's what they came up, they grew up watching those movies. And the comics are like kind of secondary to that. I think now, like guys our age or people who are more Wednesday warriors are definitely reading, books from all over. But I think anybody who's reading comics on a weekly basis and really after, quality product, I think is reading a lot of DC, a lot of Image, and a lot of indies right now. I don't think Marvel's just doing a lot of things great. And I think a lot of the people still, in the game with it are fans who, are just diehards who are going to be there whether the story's good or not. But yeah, man, it's I don't see like, the crossover as a sign of weakness or a coming together that shouldn't be there in the industry. To me, it works. I think it's always like an interesting idea to broach if you have the right story. But every time they like Batman and Deadpool just seemed off from the beginning, and it's the logo thing seems like a weird turn at the end of the comic, and I don't know, like that. And that whole comic was bizarre, just having different little short stories with these character mashups. It felt so rushed and like nothing fleshed out. So it felt like a half-ass attempt at it, like really to me. And it's just like that's the thing is I don't understand. Like there's always like this excitement this new energy or hype behind this thing and what could be and the possibilities. And they got this name and that name, writer, artist, they got all these people on it. And then like for whatever reason, it seems like things just never mesh well together, or the effort doesn't seem sincere, or just seems hamstrung for whatever reason. So I don't know. It seems cursed in that way, but this one just felt like all over the place on the Marvel side of things. It's going to be interesting to see what DC does in response. I'm really curious to see, and I think that'll be the tale of two cities. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it makes me wonder as well, because the creative team that spearheaded the Marvel version was Zeb Wells and Greg Capullo. And on paper, great. Like, I'm not, not bad by any means. Like, I mean, if you were on a regular book, it would grab my attention a little bit and be like, okay, well, I wonder what they're going to do. But on the DC side of things, when they get, to put their spin on it, we got Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. And that is, I mean, just so different. It is so intrinsically different. The level of hype that you can get behind that kind of book and the ideas that you have to imagine could spring forth from Grant Morrison. And Grant Morrison himself came out in earlier interviews and said, I'm working on something that I never anticipated working on. And I never would have thought that this would be a book that was in existence, but I would never work on something that I didn't have an idea for, an idea that I'm excited to work on. And that gets me pumped up. Like, that gets me excited to see, even though it's the same characters, that twist and that creative team, like, is going to do wonders for my level of at least excitement. Now, will they deliver? We don't know. But I got to say, like, I have a heck of a lot more faith in what they could potentially put out than what we already know we got with Marvel.
Yeah.
I got to ask you this, though, and it's very obvious, but it's kind of weird for me. The most effective storyline that I feel like happened in the Deadpool and Batman book for me personally was Daredevil Green Arrow. And it's not because... Okay, so you agree. For me, it wasn't because I'm a Daredevil fan, though. It was because it was the one that made the most sense. Like, it was just two heroes out on patrol doing their thing by a writer who has done time with both of these characters. So, like, in that way, it was a joyful return that had low stakes and just kind of delivered on the delight of that kind of story.
Putting the boxing glove from Battling Jack's gem on the arrow to save the day at the end, that was beautiful. Like, it was great writing from Kevin. Honestly, I've seen those last two Kevin Smith's like kind of short stories you've done. I've read them. They really haven't hit for me. I thought this was excellent writing, though. I thought he really knocked this one out of the park.
And that's why it was so surprising for me. It's because I had no expectations for it. I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna cringe so hard on two characters that I love so much, and it's gonna hurt. And it didn't. And it lived up to what I would hope it would be. But like, I am still a fan of Chip Zdarsky, and I think that he does more good work than lackluster work. I'm not gonna say I don't think he's ever written anything bad. But I gotta say, that Wonder Woman Steve Rogers story, it felt like a really great idea executed in a head scratchy kind of way. Like, there was something that could have happened there that I feel like just didn't make the page in the best way that it possibly could be. But I think that those two stories were like the only things that gave me
it just, the whole thing felt like an utter letdown, though, man. Besides that Daredevil Green Arrow story, it's like, this is what we're doing. Greg Capullo's art felt completely uninspired and flat to me. I didn't get one panel or page where it really blew me away. I'm sorry. His art lately, just with the Marvel on these interiors, this Wolverine book, this stuff feels mailed in, man. And if you like, I was looking back at that Batman run not very long ago. Like, it's just so much more energetic. It just feels lethargic here, like his heart's not in it. And I just felt like that story was a snoozer. And is this really, we got a crossover here in our lap, and this is what we're going to do with it? These are the stories we're going to tell, and this is the issue they're going to give us? It's like, okay, it's bizarre.
It's super bizarre.
Like, nobody had better stories to tell, like with matchups. Like, it was just, I don't know.
Yeah. But we're getting pretty down on this stuff here. We do have some good crossovers to talk about here. We have Bob throwing out some more suggestions here that are absolutely pure gold, though. Jeff Lemire writes, Sam Keith draws The Thing. I would totally buy that. Now, I don't want to see Ben Grimm get too sad, and we know the energy that Jeff brings, but I feel like that would be a winner for sure, especially with Sam Keith drawing, like, for sure. Like, he just needs to draw another book, for God's sake. I don't even care what it is.
Yeah.
We got Marv versus the Kingpin. That feels just like Jason Aaron's
Nice.
Punisher, maybe just a little bit. And then The Crow and Elektra, drawn by Kevin Eastman. Like, take all my money.
Okay,
Take
Bob.
all of it. Like,
seriously,
yeah,
incredible.
Like CP Sobolski, if you're in the chat right now, come on, buddy, hire this man. He's got ideas. Can I put you on the spot? Do you have a pitch for maybe a team up and duo that you'd like to see?
Oh,
You forgot already, didn't you?
yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like the ones that I've kind of like wanted to see have already been done in a sense. Man, I don't know. How about you?
Mine's okay. Mine's gonna sell like 3 copies on the stands. It really is.
Okay.
Okay.
We got
Ben Urich and Jimmy Olsen team up.
Oh, dude, I'm there.
Written
Take
by
my money.
Brian Michael Bendis with artwork by Andrea Sorrentino.
You got your creative team. I love it. That's awesome. I love Olsen and Urich. That's great. I love reporter energy together. Hell yeah. And
I've been
Bendis
saying it.
would be
We've
great
talked
for
about
that. Bendis does like newsrooms and all that shit. The dialogue, all that. That's in his wheelhouse.
Exactly. Yeah. It seems like the perfect fit for that kind of thing. This is not going to sell like gangbusters, though. And like, let's go ahead and put that out there on Front Street. But I feel like this is going to be a good book. And I've said it multiple times throughout the litany of shows that you and I have done together. I think I just kind of want like a newsroom kind of show. Or I'm sorry, not show, comic book. I'm ready to have the journalistic side of, of
There you
comic
go.
books again. Like, bring
Hell
that
yeah.
back.
Hell
So,
yeah.
all right. We talked a lot about kind of our gripes with crossovers, particularly the last one that came out here. Let's talk about one that really, really worked. So much so that when they brought it back to finally be reprinted, that sucker sold out like that. JLA Avengers, written by Kurt Busiek with artwork by George frickin' Perez.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I know that this came out during a time that you were lapsed in reading. Did you read this?
Yeah. I've gone back and read this one.
Okay, I'm gonna let you take the reins, man. Like, tell me about your experience, like with the storyline, because I feel like
this one was like when I was on the George Perez kick. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's incredible. Like he does all those stuffed panels, and every character, the care he gives to all those pencils is just incredible. I think that he's one of the best crossover artists, if not the best crossover artist there is. I think nobody really comes close when it comes to these whole like label wide lineups. So I think this creative team already had the juice from working on Avengers together. And this one, I just think was a natural fit. I think it found Busiek at the right time with the rhythm he was having in his career. Right when doing some of his all time best work, and Perez obviously the same. So, yeah, dude, I don't know. This is and it was dope to see all the love this got, and especially to see. I don't know if you saw that clip, but they took the when they got the cover right or whatever, and the cover image out, they took it out to George to show it to him when he was still alive. Like he wasn't doing too hot, but they videoed that, like them showing him that, and like it was a super special moment. So, yeah, man, I don't know. This is like the way it should be done. I think it was tastefully done, just a good story, epic artwork, and everything you could want. It wasn't. It was I don't know, it really captured I feel like like we just talked about, you get literally like a feast. You have the world at your feet when you're bringing these two universes together, and you want it to be that grand epic thing. And I think this is one of those few times, like with X-Men and Teen Titans, where they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. Like you had mentioned it, and I was having the same feelings talking about Busick being at the top of his game, right? Like he's coming off the heels of doing an absolutely incredible Avengers run, doing what I personally think is like, I don't know if I'd call it the best. I think I'd call it my favorite. My favorite Avengers storyline, which is Avengers Forever. Like he's just like he was
Yeah.
at the top of his game at that point when it came to not only superhero stories, because we have Astro City there as well. Like, so he clearly has a love not just for comic books, but the superhero, the idea of a superhero, the archetype of a superhero in the team. And I feel like he was just at the right time, at the right place to like be the person that really spearheaded the team up of these happening. But then I was going to say, and George Perez at the top of his game, has there ever been a buildup though? I feel like George Perez, and maybe this is me looking back with like rosy colored glasses on. I don't know if George Perez has ever been anything less than stellar. I feel like George Perez has always just been George Perez, and everyone else was playing catch up, and maybe is still playing catch up. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
you're not wrong. Incredible, just incredible line work.
Yeah, and you think about the litany of work that he did with both companies. Yeah, you said it best. Like, I feel like it's like he was just the absolute perfect artist to take on, the formulation of these two teams, fighting against each other, of course, because that is the formula, but then teaming up to take on the true big bad, which in this case was Krona and the Grandmaster, with the fate of the universes at stake.
Yeah, dude. Superman lifting Thor's hammer.
Yeah, and having Cap shield, like,
yes, such a kick-ass
again,
game.
like, yeah, you think about iconic moments and iconic images, like I remember silly stuff from all these other ones, or I shouldn't say all of them, but most of these other crossover events. But that like stands out. That's one of those things, like, they probably made posters of that stuff that people hung on their walls. Like that's something that totally stands out and is something that people are going to remember forever and ever and ever. And it's such a shame that because of the nature of how these deals are written and how the companies can't ever kind of like see eye to eye on this stuff, I think we've probably seen the last printing of this to ever be put out. I think that if you got it, you got it. And if you don't, it's a bummer, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, I'm sure you could find the floppies out there, but you're going to be dropping a little bit of money for them for sure. Now, we've talked a lot about Marvel and DC crossing over, but you actually brought to the table a couple other crossover events that have happened in the past year, man. Like, and I'm glad, because you brought some things that I even had forgotten about. What were some of the other crossover events that kind of caught your eye that you at least had an experience, whether good or bad, that you had an experience with?
I mean, you want to talk about like recent?
We could talk about recent. We could talk about oldies, but goodies, baddies, whatever.
We'll start with recent. Dude, this was a killer series.
Let's go, dude.
It's a gun that shoots face huggers. I mean, that was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite comic book moments of the year. But yeah, Aliens vs. Avengers, Jonathan Hickman, Esad Ribic, Hickman's true love for the Alien franchise shines through, especially Prometheus and Covenant and all that stuff. But yeah, dude, just a great storyline where the aliens and have taken over the galaxy, and Earth is lost, and there's just like one ship out there trying to save what's left, and just a few heroes with it. And I don't know, just the way this one played out over 4 issues was extraordinary. I thought very well done. Now, you wanted to argue this wasn't a crossover because they're both owned by. Go ahead.
I mean, okay. DC, we had Superman versus Aliens back in the day. And I feel like that was a crossover event because that was a Dark Horse property crossing over with a DC property at the time. Made sense to me. Alien versus Avengers. owned by 20th Century Fox, who's owned by Disney. Marvel, who is owned by Disney. It's the same umbrella. So is it a crossover event? I don't know. And I feel like it's just poo-pooing, right? Like you can call and label things whatever you want to call them.
Yes, it is poo-pooing.
Yeah, yes, okay. But I think there's an avenue to have a discussion where you could feasibly say, well, is it? One thing I will not argue, though, is your appreciation for that book, because that had no right being as awesome as it was.
That was so good.
It was so freaking good. That book, it was like, I mean, it took you by surprise in such a big bad way in every single issue. And I've been, I mean, I know you have been too, but I've been on a Wayland Yutani kick recently because of Alien Earth, man. I went back and I'm talking, I'm working my way through stuff. Me and my kid just watched Predator for the first time last weekend. We watched the Predator cartoon that came out, the animated movie, the Hunter Killer, I believe it was called, which was excellent, by the way. We went back and watched Alien versus Predator. Still sucks as much as the first time that I saw it, but still super fun. And Alien Earth has been outstanding. Like I'm going to work my way as soon as I watch the last episode of Alien Earth. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to do a franchise rewatch of every single thing, because I feel like, I don't know, there's something about it right now that is just like drawing on my levels of enjoyment in such a big bad way. I'm watching YouTube breakdowns of like all of the movies, and I've seen them, but like I just find myself like fixated on all this stuff. So when you had these properties come together, oh man, do we need Jonathan Hickman just to write an Alien book?
Yes, I think we do.
I would, I think I would slap down my hard-earned money for that without a shadow of a doubt. I think that would work out in such an awesome way. And like, come on, we already have the Brood, right? Like, let's just say that the Brood were xenomorphs all along.
There you go.
But, yeah, just put him in the
book. Yeah, and I like how he brought Venom into it, like in this one.
Yeah, and how it kind of sort of ends up saving the day too. Like, I mean, Miles was done. He was done.
Awesome. Man, that last issue was nuts. Yeah.
Man, is that okay? So if we're gonna call that a crossover, is it the best crossover?
No.
Really?
I don't think it's the best one.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna wait. I want to hear what you think is the best one then, because I think that my expression is probably giving away what I think is really the best.
It's this one, Batman versus Predator.
Oh my God! Here we go. Okay. A true undisputed crossover. I can't. Can you spin that around? Show us the backing board so that you can see the cover. No, spin it around. There we go.
Beautiful.
What's in that top right corner?
Dark Horse, baby.
And what's in the top left corner?
DC.
Interesting. Undisputed crossover.
Oh God, you're such a fucking pencil pusher. Go do a spreadsheet somewhere. Anyway, this one. I think Adam Kubert doing the artwork. Dave Gibbons wrote this one.
Dave Gibbons wrote it. I have no. I mean, I know it exists. I have not read that at all, though.
I love it, dude. It's fantastic. It's just Batman versus the Predator in the streets of Gotham, and it's fucking kick ass. So this is one of the ones that I had since, I want to say, a kid. I want to say this was in my childhood collection, or at least one of these. But either way, I tracked them all down and have them now. But yeah, I love this one, man. Batman versus Predator. I love it.
Dang. So your childhood, your horror roots run all the way back into your childhood then, man. You were appreciating Predator even as a youngin'.
Maybe. I want to say this was 90. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe
I'll look it up later. Yeah, I want to say if it was before like 93 or 94, then it was definitely in my childhood. But after that, it might have been like a bad issue by. All right. This one's definitely worth mentioning just because it's fun.
Okay.
In the way crossovers can be. RoboCop vs. Terminator, Frank Miller, Walt Simonson.
Dude, okay. For everyone at home, Stu's been holding out on me. He didn't tell me that he was bringing this kind of heat to the party at all.
Oh yeah, love this one, man. Good stuff. Walled on art. Frank with the story.
Yeah. And this must have been after Frank did his time in Hollywood writing. I believe it was RoboCop 2 and 3, or maybe just 3. I can't remember how that worked out.
I think it was 2 and 3. I think you're right. And then Judge Dredd, Batman Judge Dredd. I have a couple of these.
Is that Mignola on artwork?
I think Mignola did the cover here, and then this is Alan Grant and Wagner on the art. I want to say I have another one with like Bisley on the art or somebody like that. But, that Alan Grant wrote. But yeah, I love these Batman Judge Dredd mashups. So yeah, Mignola cover.
Okay, good call, man. That makes me think of a couple other ones that kind of that jump out too. There was Dark Horse was really good about crossing over with DC for a hot second there too. They had you talked about Matt Wagner. They also had Grendel crossing over with Batman. They had a couple.
I was trying to find it before the show. I have a Batman Aliens crossover, and I love that one because Bernie Wrightson did the art.
Which is insane. I still don't know necessarily. Like in my head, I can figure out Superman versus the aliens because somebody's got to get a face hugger, but Superman somehow, some way could like survive that kind of thing. But like Batman, he gets one face hugger, he's done. Like I'm sorry, even if you're Batman.
Damn, think about like what if a face hugger like jumped up and then like chest burst out of a Kryptonian? Like yeah, he would heal, but then that freaking xenomorph would have Kryptonian DNA. Holy shit.
Powered by Earth's yellow sun.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Oh my gosh, with kryptonite powered blood, I'm sure, because of its greenness and all that kind of stuff. Too,
yeah, so. Well, like that's what I loved about Hickman with what he was playing with in Aliens vs. Avengers and that like ultimate xenomorph.
Yeah, I love how Sinister is just offing himself.
Yeah.
Like, so we're all gonna get one of these, right, sir? Yeah. And just starts chomping away at all of the little Sinister clones. He's so devious. There's another crossover. One of the things that I don't like about crossovers is that there is never any kind of stakes, and I think Bob pointed this out in the chat as well. There's no stakes, there's no lasting implications of the things that are actually taking place in the book because inherently you can't, because you kind of have to kind of put everything back into place so that Marvel can go on with their stories and DC can go on with their stories. But in 1994, Todd McFarlane and Frank Miller teamed up to do a duo of books here, Batman Spawn, Spawn Batman.
Oh, yeah.
And the level of effectiveness of those stories is questionable at best. I remember when I first saw Frank Miller's artwork on one of them, I was very young and I was very stupid, but also it's not his best work. I didn't like Frank Miller at all. I was like, I don't know what I'm getting here. This doesn't do it for me. I don't like the story that we're being delivered. Like, get this out of my face. I'm done with it. But in Spawn Batman, Batman throws a batarang at Spawn because they do have their team up, but they're bickering and fighting the entire time. It's not so much a team up as it is they kind of have to work together a little bit while they're also kind of fighting one another. But the issue ends with Batman throwing a batarang directly square into Spawn's face, splits him right down the middle of his face. What happens in the next issue of Spawn? He has got his face split open and he's got to tie that puppy together with a shoelace, and that becomes canon, which means that throughout forever and ever in the mythos of Spawn, Batman must have thrown a batarang at his face. And it's such a small, simple, stupid thing.
That's awesome.
I kind of love that
I love that.
Actual implications. Like something happened in this crossover that still lasted and lived within the book. And he had that shoestring face for like the better part of a couple of years, if my memory is correct. So simple, so stupid, but I kind of love that kind of thing when they do.
That's awesome.
When there's some kind of implication. There's another book that you had mentioned, and while I don't think it's the best written book, which if you're following along at home, we've said that for just about every single one of these crossovers, Wildcats X-Men. it feels so natural for that kind of team up to happen because you have Jim Lee, who, like, for people of our age group, yes, we did have John Byrne, but like John Byrne was drawing this stuff before I had any kind of love and appreciation for X-Men. For me, it was Silvestri, and then more importantly, at that time for me, it was Jim Lee. Jim Lee's X-Men, when I close my eyes, that is the X-Men that I see, right? And Jim Lee leaves Marvel, creates the Wildcats, which is, come on, it's Avengery, X-Men-y. I mean, it really is. That's exactly what we are delivered with that team. So to have them cross over and team up, and it was kind of a cool idea how they did that too, because they did, correct me if I'm wrong here, they did Wildcats like Golden Age, Silver Age, and then Bronze Age or something like that, or Modern Age.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So they did it in different time ages, right? So like they had like one story that took place during World War II, and it was with Grifter, and I think it was Grifter and no, it was Zealot and Wolverine. And then they had, you know, characters take the stage for different eras of time throughout these comic books. That's all secondary though, because what you really get from this book is Travis Chare's artwork, which means that it was an incredibly delayed book. But if you have not seen the artwork of Travis, wow, it is exceptional. He was definitely a person. I remember some of his earliest work in the pages of Wildcats, and it was very Jim Lee, like super duper Jim Lee style. As he kind of grew and expanded and really kind of like developed a different style, he leaned big into the European look and feel of his books, which means that he was emulating a lot of the look and feel of, like, you know, people like Mobius, right? If you talk about European artists, he's probably like the first that pops into your mind. But man, do yourself a favor and look. If you don't know the artist, Travis Chare, check him out. Incredibly detailed work. It is some of the best that you'll ever see in comics, but it is so few and far between because the time and attention to the detail that goes into it means that the dude just does not put out a lot of work at all. But one of the very first times I see him doing that style is in Wildcats X-Men. So I think at least for that alone, it's worth a call out there for sure.
Without a doubt. That's a banger.
Yeah. I'm struggling to find too many more that are noteworthy here. We have a couple more storylines with like Batman, Captain America. We got Batman and Punisher, which I think that there's ideas that could be explored there, but I don't think that they're ever truly going to be explored in a worthwhile way, with Batman and his aversion to guns and Punisher, you know, being Punisher. But I think that we've kind of put a cap on all this. Are there any other crossover events that you can think of that were really noteworthy?
The Madman Superman crossover in '97, DC and Dark Horse. Mike Allred. I just want to shout that one out.
Okay.
Yeah, Madman's done a bunch of crossovers, so I love when Mike does that. I love how he mixes that character up. Dude, we talked about it backstage. I heard so many people mention Archie meets the Punisher. I haven't read it, but I've heard so many good things about that one. So I gotta find that and read it at some point. And what was the other one? Oh, Punisher Batman. JR. Yeah. That one was 94. That one was right there in my wheelhouse. So I wanted to shout that one out.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I got to pitch it back to you because we still need to know what your crossover pitch would be. I have another one that I can't believe I didn't think of previously, but it's right there and it's so obvious and it's so clean. But I got to know what yours is first before I throw this one out.
Man, I don't know. I wish I had known beforehand so I could have come a little more prepared. I don't know.
All right, I'm throwing mine out.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll give you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to stall for a couple more minutes while you think. It's right there for everyone's taking here. I'm going to do a 3-way crossover. TMNT, Daredevil, Steel Streets,
Oh, nice.
All by the creators, right? So like we're gonna have Frank Miller writing it, we're gonna have Monty Keene drawing it, and we're gonna have Eastman and Laird coming back to work together again on the Turtles property under, you know,
That's fire.
with all these creators working together here. Give me 4 issues of that.
Yeah, how has there never been a Turtles Daredevil?
Exactly. And then once I had that in my head, I was like, oh, well, we gotta throw Marty in there too.
I think you got to start there, man. You got to get for sure. Shouts out to Marty, but like seriously, how is Turtles and Daredevil never? That just needs to happen.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those things that everyone just accepts is a fact. Like that's just the way that things worked out. So you know, it basically already did happen. But like, come on, let's get a proper team up. Let's get the Turtles together. Let's get Splinter in there. Let's get Daredevil. Make them all work together. Make them fight.
Yeah.
Give Kingpin some mutagen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. Do you have one before we call this show a wrap?
I don't, man. I'll have to next week. I'll have to redeem myself next week. I don't want to I don't want to force it. I want to come back with a strong one.
All right. Well, everyone in the chat here, make sure that you hold Stu accountable because we need his crossover event in our lives. I'm sure whatever it's going to end up being here. But for everyone that was hanging with us tonight, thank you so much for hanging here. For everyone catching us on the rewind, you are equally as awesome. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that YouTube-y kind of stuff. Make sure to catch us tomorrow on Dr. Doom's Fan Club for the milestone anniversary edition of Ink and Insights, where we hit issue number 5. And it's going down with some incredible issues that we're going to be talking over here. So catch us tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern time over at Dr. Doom's Fan Club. Stu, do you have anything else you wanted to plug?
No, man. See y'all tomorrow.
All right. See you all tomorrow. Have a great night.